Herzlich willkommen zu Tag 6 bei Klappe Auf, der BFFS. Der Bundesverband Schauspiel interviewt Regisseure, Produzenten und weitere Gewerke beim Filmfest Hamburg. Also herzlich willkommen. Wir haben ja in diesem Jahr unsere Reihe ein wenig erweitert. Wir haben vorher die vorigen 5 Jahre Regisseurinnen und Regisseure interviewt und dieses Jahr sind wir weitergegangen und haben Produzenten, Cutter, Editoren etc. zu Gast. Heute ist noch eine weitere Premiere und zwar sind wir zum ersten Mal komplett auf Englisch. Das heißt, Kruuse Mettin, den ich hier sehr herzlich begrüße, Schauspieler, Sprecher, BFFS-Part in Hamburg und in New York eine ganze Weile gewesen, wird also problemlos dieses Interview führen. Wir werden es allerdings nicht übersetzen. Und Kruuse Mettin begrüßt eine Produzentin, die an ihrem Geburtstag nichts Besseres zu tun hat, als heute hier zu sein. Also herzlich willkommen und herzlichen Glückwunsch, Verena Gräfe-Höft. Und unser internationaler Gast, und ich bin sehr froh, Alexander hat mir versucht, diesen Namen beizubringen. Und dann hat er gesagt, die Isländer nehmen nur den Vornamen. Und da bin ich ganz froh drum. Und deswegen begrüße ich die Regisseurin. Jetzt habe ich schon wieder vergessen. Wie spricht man es aus? Ása, und Helga mag sie nicht hören. Ása Helga. Und den Nachnamen, den sehen Sie dort auf den Tafeln. Also viel Spaß mit dem Interview. Viel Spaß euch.
Yeah, good evening everybody. My name is Kruuse Mettin. I'm very happy to be here with the wonderful directress Ása Hjörleifsdóttir and the producer Verena Gräfe-Höft. Verena is known for films like Tore Tanzt or And Boy and now also The Swan. And she has a fable for Scandinavian directors, as I could see on the biography on her CV. And I'm glad to hear more about that later during the talk. And the director is Ása Helga Hjörleifsdóttir. She has studied in New York on the Columbia University, has done their different short films like Special One, Astar Saga, The Love Story, Puch o Ech, Stuch o Ech, You and Me, and now her debut film, The Swan. I wanted to start talking about short films in general, working with short films, producing short films. Verena, you have a lot of experience in that since your studies and then afterwards as well. And I wanted to hear from you guys the differences in producing short films then and now in New York and in Iceland. Maybe you start, Verena. How is it to produce a short film?
Well, I only have produced short films in Germany, so actually I wouldn't know how it is to produce a short film in New York. Mm-hmm. The thing is that short film in Germany is something that is very difficult to distribute. Most of the time you can only see them in festivals and Arte. So the short film really lacks a kind of a recognition here. So there is not the tradition anymore that you screen a short film in front of a long film, which used to be like this in the old days more often. And it's a little bit a shame. This year I was on the jury on the Max Ophüls Festival for the short film jury, and actually the shortest film we saw was 15 minutes. So I think we as a jury, we were a little bit devastated because we thought, well, maybe it's in Germany, it's maybe a dying art form in a way, because I graduated from the Hamburg Media School, the only school that performs in short films very successfully. We have a short film, I say we because it's my school, where I studied there, right? And I teach there, yes. So they have a short film in the Oscar race. So they're very successful actually, but more on an international context or in an international context. But for the German market, it's actually quite difficult. But I know that, for example, in other countries, also in Scandinavia, it's much more common that also directors start with short films, and actually the money they can receive from public funds are much higher. So they really have money on their hand to produce short films, and they really have a chance to also screen them. And there are worldwide distributors, world sales agents that actually, really like to buy short films.
So also, is it like that in Iceland?
Well, not entirely, but I still think that it's true that there is certainly more. There is short films also have a life, and that but at the same time, it's still very similar that inevitably the short films will mostly be made as a gateway into the longer film, where it's sort of the first step for a director to just establish his or her voice, or which is why it's usually still just part of your schools, and very few directors I know continue making make another short film later in their career, but. But then there are great, both, there are platforms like Shorts International, for example. I've had a short film there now playing for almost 6 years. It just got repurchased for another 3-year period. So there are these.
Is that an online platform you can watch it?
Yes, it's I think you have to pay something, but it's not very expensive, and I'm not entirely.
So it's a streaming platform.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and they pay the filmmakers a fee, which is a rare thing for short filmmakers to purchase their work. But yeah.
Yeah. And how is it with the fees in Iceland when you're doing a short film, or in America? Do you have to pay everybody on the set, or is everybody working for free? What are the differences there?
Yes, it's very, I think it depends a lot, and it depends on just the context of how you're making the film, and some people apply for the film fund and get, are able to pay everyone, and there certainly is, like you're saying, in the Iceland Film Fund, for example, there you can apply for funding for short film, and but, when I was making my school films, it was dependent on grants, or, just, no, I wasn't able to pay everyone their full. We weren't able to pay everyone their full rate, and I think there was most of the films that came out of my school were made for very little money,
But you had to pay someone a little bit of money, or did they work all for free?
No. But sometimes, usually, for example, the actors or the cinematographers or people that would benefit from also the experience would be willing to do it for free. And I know very established actors in Iceland that just find it their moral duty to act for free in short films of young up-and-coming filmmakers, because they know that there's no money and they want to help them out. So.
And how is that in Germany? Are there a lot of actors who are willing to work for free?
Well, actually, when we are talking about the short films, for example, at the film school, we're not allowed to pay anybody. So this is basically the rule, and we wouldn't have the money to pay anybody. But when you're out of film school, you have minimum wage, and you have to pay no matter whether it's a short film or a long film. And so as a producer, you can hardly afford to do a short film anymore, because it's very difficult to find the money for short films on a very regular basis. You can actually only do it here, I think, in a form of it's either kamikaze, you get all your friends together, or it is more or less, very expensive and very difficult to raise this kind of money, or you do it in a school context, like the Hamburg Media School.
And what do you think of that, since there was minimum wage law in Germany, where people have to be paid by hour, the actors and the people who work on a short film or a low-budget film, they don't get any contracts anymore. They have to do honorary work. What is your opinion on that?
On minimum wage, or?
They have to work for free, and they don't have any rights on the film anymore. So if the film would be successful, they wouldn't get any royalty fees from that. I mean, for example, the
Well, if a film is successful, at least, that's how I experienced it, then all the people that are part of the film also get a share, a percentage.
Yeah. Well, they changed the law for the minimum wage, €8.50 an hour, right?
Yeah.
And now, because the filmmakers, the young filmmakers, they aren't able to pay that for the actors, for
Right.
example. That's the
Yeah.
big problem we have in the BFFS, German Union.
Yeah.
And now what they have to sign, something that's an honorary contract. So they work voluntarily for free,
Yeah.
and they don't have any rights on the film anymore.
Yeah, that's
so they give up everything.
I know it's a problem. I mean, it's like it's something that maybe wasn't thought through for this kind of product or a working thing. But on the other hand, I must say, I really believe in minimum wage. And I think it's also very important for the creative sector. And although I'm a producer, I welcome this because I want to pay people. And I really think that you should be able to live on what you do and what you work for. I don't think it's right that people are exploited in the arts like that. So in that respect, I think it's great. And I really think it's important. On the other hand, if minimum wage had existed when I did Tore Tanzt, I could have not done this film. So there are films that would not have been produced because people got money, but not everybody, I could not afford to pay everybody minimum wage. And so a lot of people helped us out, actually, Katrin and me. So this is the downside of it. But anyway, I totally believe in it, and I'm a big fan of people that work should get paid properly. Yeah.
Very good. Well, let's come from short films to debut films. The Swan. How did you guys get to know each other?
If you want to say.
It's actually a really funny story.
Yeah.
It sounds a little bit maybe strange, but I was in Cannes 2015, and I was recommended to two Icelandic producers, Brigitte and Hlyn. And we made an appointment, so we met for lunch. And we didn't really had a project that we wanted to do, but I was recommended to them. They just wanted to get to know me, and so we felt like, hey, it's great, let's meet and let's see, what are you interested in and I'm interested in. And this was like one of the nicest lunches I ever had in Cannes because we had such a good time. We cracked up laughing the whole time, and it was like, I have known these guys forever. I mean, it was really funny because I was like, okay, yeah, I know you. And then so you're always busy. I mean, everybody who went there knows that you have like back-to-back meetings. So the thing that I regret most is that I don't usually get to see so many films as I wish. And that year, I only saw one single film. I only got one ticket for the Grand Theater, and it was Louder Than Bombs because a friend of mine co-produced it. And you need to know that this is like a cinema with 2,000 seats. And so it's huge. And I went there all by myself, and then I sat next to this really great, nice director from Iceland, and then you were there by yourself.
Yes, and it was also the only film I saw that year.
And so, I mean, how big is the chance that you end up in a theater, next to each other? And then I was like, oh yeah, that's so interesting. So you're from Iceland. And it's so funny. I just met two people from Iceland today, and he's like, yeah, what's their names? Because when you don't know it, but actually in Iceland, everybody knows everybody. So, and then I was like, yeah, I met Hlyn and Brigitte, and she's like, oh, that's my producers, and we do my debut film. And I was like, oh, you are Ása. And so that was like a big meant to be moment. And then later on, a couple of months later, then they asked me if I want to come on board on this film, and I read the script, and I loved it from the very beginning. And then I really must say, I read your director's intention note, and you don't know this maybe, but when I go to students, this is for me the way a director's note should look like, because it's now, you know, I always go like, hey guys, look at this, read this. This is how it's supposed to be done, because in combination with her short film, with the script, and with her intention note, I really felt like I saw the Swan already. And this is, of course, something great, you know.
Oh, what a great compliment.
No, it really, and
Wonderful.
it's true,
Yeah.
really. I mean, you probably don't know, but
No.
it's like, hey, I have this director's note. And it's very long. It's actually like 15
20
or
pages
20. And every director goes like, oh, you're serious? I was like, yeah, maybe you can shorten it a little bit.
Wonderful, wonderful. So let's get to the directing when you're working on set or before you start shooting the film on set. Do you rehearse with actors?
Yeah, I do, and I used to want to be an actor, and that was sort of my. I think maybe also, you know, there when I was growing up, there weren't that many female directors working in Iceland. I mean, some, but so few that it almost didn't occur to me that this was a possibility. So I was sure that I wanted to be an actor, and I really, and I tried it out even, and I love it, but I also knew that it wasn't exactly that. So, you know, to make a long story short, when I then, you know, I realized filmmaking is what I want to do, but working with actors is still one of my favorite things to do on set, and it's so, and the preparation. I mean, if I'm lucky to have, sometimes, you know, you have so little time to rehearse, but
How much time is that?
it just really depends. I feel like you know, there are some, in the Iceland Actors Union, there are some regulations, but I think that, for example, some actors are, you know, eager to do more than that, even just because they want to just have more time, because it's maybe not so much that on a low budget film we can sort of purchase already. But with the Swan, I had the benefit of having worked. I'm looking in this way because it's the poster, and I had the benefit of having worked with Grimma, the actress, before on a short film, and she was 9 when we did the short and 11 when we did the feature, and I just, you know, she's such a intuitive, intelligent person that we didn't need as much rehearsal time as I thought maybe, but we did sort of go over each scene and talk about especially with her and the guy who plays the farmhand, because they have a very strong relationship in the film, that, you know, just making sure that the scenes wouldn't become repetitive also, just to kind of establish what's happening in each scene.
That's wonderful.
But I also want to say that in her case, I feel like it was also more about just building trust than actually rehearsing the scenes. You know, we would talk about Friends, or, you know, what, like, favorite TV shows, or we would, you know, talk about school or dance or, you know, pizza or like whatever, and that was almost more important sometimes than the actual,
to build the relationship and to find out, and to get to know the other person.
And to build the trust. I think she really, and I felt then when we were actually shooting, we had almost like a sister friend bond, and so that was crucial, because then we had so little time sometimes to actually shoot the scenes, and then I was able to, you know,
To
quickly.
trigger things.
Yes, yeah.
Great. You just said that when you grew up, there weren't so many women in film and television. How's that now? And we from the BFFS, the German Actors Union, our mission this and the next years is to get equal pay in the film industry, and to raise awareness that women and men are equally cast in the productions. How's that in Iceland? And after that, I would like to hear your opinion on that and what your experiences are.
Yeah, it's certainly changing so much now. I mean, there are so many more women now in Iceland making films, and like, I think there were now at the Reykjavik International Film Festival a few weeks ago, there were almost, I think, 60% of the shorts were by women, and all of the winning films were by women, and it was really, I feel like there's a strong wave now in Iceland, but this is interesting that somehow, I guess it's been that way for a while, that there are plenty of women in the short film scene, but then when it comes to the big bucks, then it's fewer somehow. And but I can also say that I think you were saying, talking about equal women and men being cast equal, and I just had this experience, just tiny little thing that I find interesting, that I was choosing the radio clips for the Swan, and there's the radio on in some of the scenes, and usually I think you choose these things subconsciously. You think, okay, this might be a nice little news clip or weather report or something. And I've noticed that most men directors, they'll choose male reporters or male voices in the background, and probably also subconsciously. And I didn't realize until now that all except one radio voice in the background are women's voices.
In your film.
In my film. And it's just like a tiny little thing that I think, this is why it's kind of an unconscious thing. But the more women that actually make films, the more people, the next generation of people growing up will get used to, seeing the female, conscience on screen, and little things like that.
And what is your experience?
Yes, I think so. I think it's changing. I mean, I'm the Hamburg representative of women in film and television. So on Friday at 3:30, we are going to have a big discussion on the gender topic and how to create more diversity and everything, even on an international context. So if you're welcome to come and join in.
Friday, 3:30.
Yes.
Write it down.
And I did that actually because I think it is important, and also because it was the first feature film I did was with a female debut film by a female director, with Katrin, which I studied together with. And when we ended up in Cannes, I was not at that moment, and the journalist kept asking us questions, was the first time I was aware that this was a big deal that two women did this film. I have never thought during the whole process of shooting, of development, I never thought about it, it's Katrin, she's a girl, and I'm a girl too, well, big surprise. I did the story because I wanted to do it, and I think it's great. But then when we went out to the market, it was like, how can two women do this? And I was like, okay, so it's not interesting, because I felt like we have 2013, and it was not, even for me as a producer, I feel like I never had any problems to get the message across. But I felt like even for a director, female director, it's even harder. And so I watched Katrin do the interviews. I saw how sometimes people reacted to her as a director, and this really got me thinking. And I felt like it's not about Germany and it's not about Iceland. It's like, I think it's worldwide phenomenon.
Absolutely.
And so I feel it's about diversity, I mean, the world is very diverse, and I think it's important in the arts to show this. And it's something we all could benefit from. It's not against anything, but it's for something.
For leading with example.
Yes, right.
Wonderful.
And for that is what I stand for. And I have projects with male directors, and I have with female. I don't care. It's just I just want to tell good stories. But I know that a lot of things still depend on the gender. And in other parts of the world, it depends on the color of your skin or your religion. And for me, this is a no-go. I don't like that, and I don't know if I'm going to grow so old that I will live through other times. But I would like to change it at least a little bit, and that's also why I founded WIFT in Hamburg.
We're looking forward to hear more of that on Friday, 3:30. Back to the Swan, working with actors. I'm interested in to know, how do you spark an actor if he has a bad day?
How I can sense it.
Yeah, and how do you help him to still perform and to make it not a waste of time for everybody on the set?
Well, how I sense it. Sometimes, I can sense the alcohol from the day before on the breath. But we had long days, and sometimes you just really need that little whiskey in the end of the day. I think I was lucky that in the Swan it was a really intense shoot. We had tight schedule, and it's sort of a there are these 5 characters that are in the film throughout, and there are very few others, and so the 5 of them and me, and the crew became very close in a way, and I think that we just sort of I don't remember having this particular problem of them having a bad day, because I think everybody was just so eager to. Everybody was very much in the moment, and
Okay.
I want to say also that one of the things that I think we did talk about, and sort of to kind of veer an actor towards maybe giving a monotonous performance to a multicolored one, is to just remember how complex human beings are, and that there's not just sometimes you see films and people are experiencing one thing. It's like they're sad or they're happy, and you have this monotony in a way to the emotional through line of the characters. But what I'm always interested in is how we can experience many things at once, and how there's not this kind of finality to emotions. And I think talking about this to the actors was always really inspiring to them.
Okay.
And to me, and
All right.
Yeah.
I'll ask that question again when you're back on the Filmfest in the next couple of years. I think we should take a little look at the Swan. So, Mats, up.
Du weißt, dass hier ein gefährliches Tier lebt? In dem See. In den Bergen. Ein Monster. Ich habe es gesehen. Manchmal verwandelt es sich in einen wunderschönen Schwan. Und wenn du ihm in die Augen siehst, sieht er in dich hinein. Und er sagt dir, wie du wirklich bist und wie dein Leben sein wird. Weißt du warum? Weil er dich in den See hineinlocken will, wo du dann ertrinkst.
Was?
Hast du Angst?
Nein.
Ist bloß eine Geschichte.
Yeah. First time you heard your film in German?
I was like, what? That's the wrong film. This can't be the right clip.
How was the relationship between the 2 lead female characters? Because there's a lot of tension in between them. How did you work that out with the younger actress and the older one?
In real life, they're very friendly, and as Verena said, everybody knows each other in Iceland, and the older girl is in an all-female rap band called Daughters of Reykjavik with the older sister of the younger girl. So her big sister and the older actress are in a band together, so they knew each other for a long time. But in terms of the tension that had to be, again, it was a matter of, with Blær, who plays the older girl, you read the script maybe, and maybe your initial reaction, or you see the film, God, she's so annoying, or she has this like aggressiveness. She's rough, and she's like always like to everyone. And but I was also really interested, coming back to this, not making people not simplifying characters factor, to also make her keep her vulnerable, and also keep her human, and even in her most annoying moments to still highlight the vulnerability. And I think that Grima, just as a person also, but certainly as an actress, she has this natural tendency to, and her character in the film is to kind of see through all the crap. Sorry, I know I'm on TV. Maybe I'm not allowed to swear, but to see through all of the the facade that people put on and kind of see through into the real thing. And so
That was a very, very nice closing statement, and to hear how you work with actors. Here are 2 wallpapers for you as a gift.
oh, thank you.
Hamburg Pearls,
Thank
all
you.
the actors from the north of Germany. And you can also see it on www.deineperlen.de.
Great.
Thank you so much for being
you.
here, and I wish you all the best with the premiere. Thank you very much,
Thank
and
you.
good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Vielen lieben Dank.